So I've got a few projects I've been working on, and I've been debating what video to start with first. And I thought I'd start with these Basis smartwatches, which I managed to get hold of eBay and get working again. I was looking for a new fitness tracker. I wasn't really feeling any of them, to be honest. If you don't know, if you haven't heard of Basis, you don't know what these watches are. To cut a long story short, Basis were a company about 10 years ago. They developed these kind of top-end fitness trackers. They were widely regarded as some of the best in the market at the time. They started off, they were doing really well. They released the B1, which I'll show you shortly, and then Intel bought them. Their second watch, it was doing really well initially, and then not too long after its launch in kind of mid 2016, shit happened. People were getting burnt because some of these watches were overheating, and they issued a recall on all of their devices, so including the B1, which didn't have any burn issues on it. So they shut down their servers, recalled the watches, and Intel haven't been in the wearable scene since then. I won't do a full feature rundown because there's plenty of those on YouTube anyway. But just to give you a brief overview, this is the B1. This is the first model that they came out with. So yeah, very kind of unique looking thing. Fairly chunky, although this newer version, which I think came out in 2014, I think is a little bit slimmer and just looks a bit more nicer with the strap and everything. Really limited on timekeeping features. You can obviously tell the time, and you've got a calendar there as well, but there's nothing in the way of an alarm, stopwatch, any other kind of things you'd normally see on a digital watch, even a simple one. They really maxed out the processor with all of the health tracking that it was doing. So it's got step count, which obviously I haven't been walking anywhere in this. You've got calories burned, and then heart rate. And if I flip it to the back, I can probably trigger the heart rate sensor. And then you'll see the LEDs start up. The Basis Peak, on the other hand, was a lot more of a consumer-friendly device. It doesn't look as quirky as the B1. It's a lot slimmer, a lot lighter as well, and just generally the watch features on it it's got more capability. So obviously you've got the time there. You can set an alarm. If I go into that, you can double click to get out. The interface is really slick and easy to use. Because I can see all of the data, I can have a look at some of the temperature readings that are coming off, and I'm not noticing anything too crazy. So in terms of the overheating, it definitely affected some watches. Apparently some of them even melted the charging cradle, which is a bit extreme, but from the one I've got here, I can see that it had been used 6 months before the recall, and since I've been using it in the past couple of weeks, it's not been warming up even at all. But I'm keeping a close eye on it for sure. No idea where the actual source of the problem was. Intel didn't really give much of an idea of where it was coming from. So whether that was the LEDs or dodgy batteries, who knows? The other motivating factor for getting these working again rather than anything new is just price. You can get these really cheap off eBay because they're considered bricked for show collector's items. So on that basis, I mean, I was getting these for literally like $10-20 at a time. So basically, I'll show you how this works. This is the login page, and when Intel did their recall, you wouldn't have been able to get past this screen because obviously their servers would have been shut down. But I've got a bunch of files that replicate what would have been on the Basis server. Most of the files that are on that fake server, they're literally just one-liner static files. The only two that actually do anything is the clock, which sets the time on the watch, and then also the file upload function, which gets the data file off of the watch as well. So this is the login page. I've just put in random. It's got to be a valid kind of email address, so it's got to be an email kind of format, but you can literally put anything in here, and then a password, and then when you go to login, you'll see it get through to the login page. The first kind of summary dashboard page won't load because I haven't really bothered processing that. The main interest for me is just to get the sync process working, but eventually I probably will get some of these up and running again. At least the charting tab, because I think that's obviously useful to see that. But even that I haven't really done yet, because most of the charting and analysis I'm doing is literally just in Excel using a CSV file, which is fine for the moment. It'll say successfully connected. And then once that's done, I can just click on sync data and you can see that it's uploading it. And what you end up is a lot of data. In fact, I'm getting more out of the B1 than the Peak, which is a bit odd because it's an older device. The battery life has been pretty impressive as well. Both of these, I mean, I've been running them for a few days and at a time. It's running just as good as it would have done when they first got released so far anyway. I can't really recommend wearing the Basis Peak because there is that burn risk. But if you've got a B1 lying around, this is definitely worth looking into, because in terms of getting data off of a health tracking watch, a lot of the newer devices just don't really have that option. The only two I can think of is Fitbit there's some kind of bulk download process you can get from them. I think you either email them or request it through their website. And then Garmin have a fully fledged health API, which is good, but I think you have to pay a serious amount of money for it. I think up to $5,000. And even then, there's quite a lengthy form that you have to fill out. I think if you're doing it on a personal basis, like what I'm doing here, they would deny it. It's more for kind of commercial ventures, so it's kind of useless, really. So as I said, more of the details are on my blog write-up. I've also put a bunch of files in Git as well, so that includes all of the server files, a few example raw data files that I've got off of both these watches, and a couple of example scripts of how to pass the data. If you're interested in seeing where I take things from here and what I do with the data and the watch and that kind of thing, definitely not finished with this project, so keep an eye out for more.